Hi, hello. This is ACME 11 for CPTS 421. My name is Ehiane. I am the designated spokesperson, and I will be presenting today. And each team member will be going section by section to present their own portions of the project. For the introduction section, like I've already introduced my name, I've also introduced the project and the team members as well. Our objectives for Sprint 1 were gathering the requirements, which we also talked about with the spokesperson, which was TFUs, creating documentation, which we have submitted through through Canvas, showcasing the UML diagrams and user stories, and identifying our full stack development frameworks, which we'll be using. So for front end, we decided that we'll be using React. And for the back end, we decided that we'll be using JavaScript and MongoDB as our database, Node.js and ExpressJS as our server and client architecture. Yeah, so that's majority of it for section 1. I'll be passing it on to Andrew right now.
Hello, I'm Andrew Edson, the team leader. Our goals for Sprint 1 were to gather all requirements from our client. The main person in that process was Thea. Another one of our main sprint goals was to create user stories, use cases, and UML diagrams. A lot of documentation has been done and turned into Canvas on all of those projects. Another one was install and evaluate any existing systems, which we will get to in another section of this video, and then identify the necessary full stack framework and begin learning.
Hello, Ehiane again. I'm taking care of section 3. Even though all of us were present for all the meetings for the requirement gathering process and talking to liaison from Milestones, I will be the one presenting this. So our client meetings and our methods used for gathering requirements. For our client meetings, we were taking notes and through like just the regular Word documents and identifying the essential things that they wanted to be implemented in the app. I will be putting it somewhere on the screen here regarding the notes and the specific specifications that she mentioned. The number of client meetings that we've had so far has been 2. That's because we've been trying to collaborate with the liaison to essentially know when they will be free and when we'll also be free as a group. I know that you required at least 2 meetings before this sprint, so I think that should be good. Then key requirements identified for the project were understanding that the development servers shouldn't be paid for, it should be free, so they will have less things to pay for from their end. Understanding that there are 3 types of users. There's a managerial role, there's a maintenance supervisor, and there's a caregiver. And then for equipment, they want to have photos included in the logging for that. And also the maintenance supervisor should be the one specifically handling notifications about when an equipment needs to be maintained, essentially the status of the equipment. So those were the key requirements and key findings we found after speaking to the team liaison. So I'll be passing this on to David for the next section.
Hi, I am David. I'm going to be going over the documentation section. So first I want to go through some essential user stories. So some that are very important is we need to be able to add an object to the database. So as a manager or do supervisors add them too? Okay. As a manager or supervisor, you should be able to add an equipment to the database, a new one including an image, any like notes related to it. That's like, you kind of need that to start the database. Then for another part is you should be able to modify it. A manager should be able to get an object, change details about it, change a photo if anything happens to be inaccurate, or if it just needs to be updated. That's something that's very important. Another thing that is very important to our database is being able to flag something for maintenance. That can be done by supervisor or manager. So do I need to phrase this in like working syntax, or can I just say it like this? Okay, cool. Yeah, and then as the maintenance supervisor, or I think we're just changing to just supervisor based on what Leo said. They should be able to get the notifications for the maintenance, and we also need to add it so that the admin/managers need to get with that too. All right, so those are like the main user stories. For use cases, well, we have 3 user classes here, but after talking to Thea, was it yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Such a slow day.
It's fine.
After talking to Thea yesterday, she clarified that we might need to like change some of these around, like instead of manager, I think they mentioned changing it to admin, and instead of maintenance supervisor, just making it supervisor, because there is like a role called supervisor. And then from everything here, the use case we have are to log in, everyone can do that. View equipment, everyone can do that, which also extends to defining location of an object, flagging object for maintenance, and adding a note. The manager will be able to modify an object and add new equipment, and the supervisors can view maintenance notifications. After our meeting yesterday, I'm going to be changing this around probably by the time of the next sprint, just so we can have it all exactly up to Thea's recommendations.
Yeah. This section is about the installation and evaluation of the existing system. There was an existing system that the company Milestone Decisions has, but after looking at it, it is pretty much a complete solution with minor bug fixes, and the specifications that were given to us were the same they gave the same group last semester or last senior year. And because this is our senior project and we want this to be used on job applications, resumes, and in interviews, we decided that we as a group are going to start from scratch so we can learn as a group new skills that we can end up using in our careers later in life. We will be going over our Kanban overview and the team contributions. On our Kanban board, what we have done so far is we all put use cases into the Kanban board and we organize them with where they are in the backlog, what sprints we want them. And in the Kanban board, that is all the use of it so far. During this sprint, we have made a lot of progress on our documentation and a lot of progress on our diagrams and a lot of progress on our requirements. To explain that is going to be David.
We got a lot of work done on just planning, like getting from a basic idea of what inventory system we need to actually looking at how the program, how the software is going to look like at a just use case and just, I guess, blueprint standpoint. We've been working on a lot of that. We've also been working a lot on just getting experience on how to do things like, I think that actually more into the next part, so I might not have to now, but yeah. So yeah, it's been a lot of just getting us prepared to know exactly what we need to do so that next sprint we can just hit the ground running and start with coding. So
say that you made the diagram.
Oh yeah, I made the use case diagrams and the tables that followed, and yeah.
Contribution so far has been helping with the Kanban issues. I put some issues on the Kanban board as well. I also created a branch that had some implementation of some code that we have so far. It wasn't correct in total because that was before our second meeting with Thea. So some aspects of the current code implementation is correct, like having an equipment and having some types of users, but not excessively capturing all of that. So I made those issues cleared on the Canva board. Also made a PR request where everyone reviewed and it was fine. So, and also documentation too. All of us equally had hands in creating the documentation in user stories, user cases, diagrams, and all those kind of things. So, yeah.
For this sprint, I was assigned the task to learn front-end development, specifically the React framework. For that, I completed a couple courses on YouTube, watching some YouTube videos to familiarize myself with React, and then have started a React Udemy course that I plan to finish throughout this first semester to familiarize myself with the project.
Hi, Ehiane here. Backend development, so far I've been using a combination of Node.js and Express.js, also learning how to create API routes from the backend to connect with the middleware that will eventually connect with the front end, understanding the difference between use state and use management in so that was front end, my bad. Understanding how backend works connects with the database, which is MongoDB, where David will talk more about that. We were also employing the use of both Node.js and Express.js for server-side deployment. and understanding that for you to have the full application working, you need the backend server to be on and the front end server to be on, and essentially having both of them at the same time. I'm very familiar with how RESTful APIs work, like the GET request, the GET request, the put request, the post request, the delete request, and I also use Postman as my debugger, quote unquote, to help me testing the routes. So I learned that from a couple of YouTube videos that I don't know if the screen can even cover, but essentially Udemy, a couple YouTube courses. I also use like MSDN and online resources for documentation on how Express and Node.js works. What I learned about it is understanding the status code. So like a 200 is okay, like a 404 is an error, like 500 is most likely a server error, and things like that. So I'll be handing it over to David for the data.
So for a database, we're going to be going with MongoDB. So I familiarize with myself with how that works a lot. It's a NoSQL system, and it uses document-based rather than the relational-based. And yeah, so we can with that, we can make documents within MongoDB, or we can import it from an existing file, like a JSON, a CSV. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I was just learning how to set that up and how that works internally.
Yeah.
Overall, the sprint one we have had many achievements in this sprint. One of the good achievements is we have all our requirements gathered. We are pretty solid on requirements, and we think we have what we need from the requirements from milestone decisions, and specifically with our meetings with Thea. Our documentation that we created is going to be very useful to help us out going forward in Sprint 2. Our systems have been evaluated, and we have all started on learning our skills, but several challenges were faced in this first sprint. One major challenge was just kind of getting our idea of what the requirements were and what the application was going to look like compared to what our client needs and wants. We were able to address them in our meetings, and we had discussions in the meetings which helped us resolve our issues and can help us move forward. Other than that, the challenges that we have had not been anything too major yet, and we look forward to pushing on to the next sprint. As we look forward to Sprint 2, some of our goals and next steps for Sprint 2 include setting up our database and getting a simple UI established. And then also we want to have some simple functionality, like being able to add items to our database, being able to set up accounts, and being able to log in and out are functionalities that we seek to try and have after Sprint 2. This is not nearly the whole functionality of the app, but we think this will be a very good foundation that can set us up in the future and will give us a good demo to have, and so we can start using the learning that we've all had and can help us complete this project to the satisfactory of our client. We just want to thank everybody for watching this video. We want to thank all the stakeholders involved, from Thea giving us her time to meet and discuss requirements, to Professor Partik for helping us on this learning journey, always wanting the best for us and wanting us to learn so we in our careers can succeed after WSU. We are very excited for this upcoming development of Sprint 2 and look forward to this project for the rest of the semester. Thank you guys again.